If anyone out there actually eats them this way, you're a monster. Before I get into anything, I just need to get this out there. To me, Lucky Star was a strictly okay show. Definitely wouldn't make any of my top lists, but I can't deny that it was massively popular. And as I'm sure is the case for several weebs, it really made me want to try a chocolate cornet, something I had never even heard of until seeing this show. Which is why for this month's video, I'm going to be switching gears from cooking into baking as we try making chocolate cornets as featured in Lucky Star. I have less experience with baking, so I'll admit that I was a little worried going into this, but you know what they say, baking, it's just like cooking, but more oven-y, except the parts that aren't, and the cook-y parts that are. Alright, so I'm pretty sure this is going to end up being a longer video, so let's just get right into it. On screen I have the list of ingredients that you're going to need, so please feel free to pause and take note. And yes, it is 70 milliliters of water listed there. When putting this recipe together, literally every piece of reference I looked at used metric units. Fortunately, I had a way to measure that. If you don't, then warning, the conversion is something like a little over 1/4 a cup, I think? But I don't recommend doing it that way, because as they say, baking. It's like cooking, but more punishing. There are going to be two halves to this recipe, making the horn itself and making the chocolate filling. Fortunately, we'll have to let the dough for the horns rise for a bit, which gives us the perfect opportunity to work on the filling in the meantime. First, take your 1 teaspoon of yeast and dissolve it in your 1 tablespoon of warm water. Set that aside for now. Next, combine your 1 cup bread flour, 1 tablespoon of sugar, 1/2 teaspoon salt, and 1 tablespoon of dry milk powder, and get all that mixed together. Now, add in your yeast water mixture. Next, beat 1 egg. Be sure to beat it very well, as it will make measuring the 1 tablespoon you need easier. Easier if you aren't doing this one-handed. Combine 1 tablespoon of that beaten egg with your 70 milliliters of warm water. Alright, mix the egg and the water together, and then add that into the flour mixture and mix it in. Now do not get rid of the remaining beaten egg, we will use this later, so wrap it up and throw it in the fridge for now. Now, add 1 tablespoon of softened butter. I cheated, as I didn't take out my stick butter early enough to soften, so I just literally scooped up 1 tablespoon from my tub of soft butter, but I'm sure that'll work too. Go away. Now, work in the butter. This will be our final step for the dough for a while. Dust your hands in some flour, and shape the dough into a ball. Cover it, and let it rise for an hour. Again, this is easier when you aren't trying to do this one-handed. Alright, while the dough rises, we can move on to the chocolate. First, in a saucepan, combine 1 cup of heavy whipping cream with 1/3 cup of, preferably, whole milk. I may not like drinking whole milk, but it is objectively better for cooking. Baking. Which am I doing right now? I don't even know anymore. Cook this around medium to medium-high for just a couple minutes. Once it starts boiling, pull it off the heat. Add in your 6 ounces of chocolate and whisk it until smooth. Now, get your 4 egg yolks cracked and into a bowl. Marvel at how I put my yellow yolks into a yellow bowl when I knew I'd be recording. Whisk those together and then gradually add your chocolate in while continuing to whisk. And yeah, I'm not even gonna try this one-handed. You know what? 1 second. Alright, enough of that nonsense going forward. Return it now to your same saucepan. If you want to get zesty, here I added a quick splash of vanilla and a dash of cinnamon and nutmeg. Cook this at about medium heat, stirring constantly. Keep doing this until it gets nice and thick and it's just starting to bubble, but do not let it boil. For me, this was about 5 minutes. Now, transfer it to another dish and let it cool for about an hour. Alright, now, back to the dough. After about an hour or so of rising, and you can poke it to see if it's ready, if the hole doesn't close back up, then you're good, slap it onto a floured surface. Smush it out, and then divide it into 4 equal pieces. You could measure the weight to make sure they're all actually even, but... I told you, get out of here. Form these 4 pieces into balls, and cover them with a lightly damp washcloth. Like mine from Mythical Kitchen. Please notice me, Josh Senpai. Let those rise for another 15 minutes. While you wait, take your cornet molds and grease them with butter very well. We do not want the horns sticking. Now that 15 minutes have passed, roll out each ball of dough into a long, thin roll. Mine wound up being around 1 foot long each. Wrap them around the molds, and then cover for another 15 minutes. The person who I was taking information from said specifically that they use plastic bags for this part. I'm not sure exactly why, but screw it. As long as you don't tightly wrap them with anything that will stick, then you should be fine. While those rise, you can start preheating your oven to 400 degrees. Now, take that egg you saved from earlier, brush the horns of that egg, and then throw them in the oven for about 15 minutes or until they get that nice golden brown color. Once they're done, leave them on their molds and move them to a rack to cool. After just a couple minutes, then you can slide them off their molds to let them finish cooling. Once they're done, then we just about are too. Take your chocolate filling from earlier, and it's time to fill them up. This is going to be easiest with a pastry bag, and I heavily recommend it for a nice fill. And like that, we're finally done. Chocolate cornets as featured in Lucky Star. They look great, but how's the taste? The bread is light and fluffy, and the cinnamon nutmeg really helped the chocolate. Another success. I'd like to give a huge thank you to Sam Hall, as well as my other supporters on Patreon. Your support means the world to me and helps me keep going and make improvements to my channel. If you try out the recipe, please let me know in the comments below, and also let me know if you want to see more content like this or less like this in the comments too. Really, just comment. Also, check out my Patreon and consider joining my supporters. Until next time, I'm CJ Pecor, the Angry Avocado, and I still don't have a sign-off.